Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Metropolis Radio, and today we are talking about some very, very big news, and that is Quentin Tarantino's final movie is finally coming. And you would think that, you know, a news article like this would be coming from like TMZ or We Got This Covered. No. This is coming directly from the Hollywood Reporter, and it's an exclusive to the Hollywood Reporter, and that is Quentin Tarantino's final film is coming as filmmaker readies the Movie Critic. Sources say the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Pulp Fiction filmmaker has written a script that he's planning on directing this fall, being, you know, fall of 2023. Quentin Tarantino is back for the last time. The filmmaker behind some of the most indelible movies of the past 3 decades, Pulp Fiction and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood among them, is putting together what sources say is being billed as his final movie. The Movie Critic is the name of the script that Tarantino wrote and is prepping to direct this fall, according to sources. Logline details are being kept in a suitcase, but sources describe the story as being set in late 1970s Los Angeles with a female lead as its center. It is possible the story focuses on Pauline Kael, one of the most influential movie critics of all time. Kael, who died in 2001, was not just a critic but also an essayist and novelist. She was known for her pugnacious fights. That word tripped me up there. With editors as well as filmmakers. In the late 1970s, Kael had a very brief tenure working as a consultant for Paramount, a position she accepted at the behest of actor Warren Beatty. The timing of that Paramount job seems to coincide with the setting of the script, and the filmmaker is known to have a deep respect for Kael, making the odds of her being the subject of the film more likely. The project does not have a studio home. It could go out to studios or buyers as early as this week, according to sources. So that would be the week of, March 15th, 2023, for those of you watching this in the future. One frontrunner could be Sony, where Tarantino has a tight relationship with topper Tom Rothman. Sony distributed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the filmmakers in 2019 opus on 1960s movie making, and also gave him a unique deal in which the copyright reverts to him over time. Hollywood also won 2 Oscars after nabbing 10 nominations and grossing over $377 million worldwide. But how big was the budget? I'm going to look this up real quick. I know you guys can't see my screen, but I swear to you, I am typing it into IMDb right now. So gross of $377 million worldwide. Here we go. Against a production budget of $90 million. So it did make its money back, to be fair. Tarantino has for 2 decades commanded the ability to attract the most coveted actors, working with Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt 2 times each. Yes, he worked with Leonardo DiCaprio Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Django Unchained, and he worked with Brad Pitt also on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Inglourious Bastards. He directed Christoph Waltz to 2 Oscar wins. What they're also not making mention is that, he really gave Christoph Waltz a boost after he was in Inglourious Bastards. Samuel L. Jackson is a frequent collaborator. If this truly is his final film, he will have no shortage of thespians dropping everything to line up for roles. The filmmaker has long maintained he had a finite number of movies in him, saying he wanted to direct 10 movies or retire by the time he was 60. The writer-director has made 9, if you count the 2 Kill Bill movies as 1, and turns 60 later this month. Yes, and I believe I first heard him say that in an interview spot that he had with Peter Travers. This was years and years ago. If I can find the clip of that, I'll put it in here. If I can't, you'll just continue hearing me to talk.
You're saying you got 10 movies in you? And this is it after 10?
That's kind of...
What are you talking about, Quentin?
Well, that's kind of the idea. I mean, look, I'll give myself a little wiggle room. It could be 11, but I doubt it's going to be. But I doubt it's going to be 12 or 13 or 14. I don't want to be a director that just directs. Because he doesn't know anything else to do, and he needs to be on the set, or he needs the attention, and I'm working to diminishing capabilities, diminishing talent, diminishing focus.
I don't see any evidence of that.
Well, I'm still a young man, all right? There better not be any evidence.
Two movies left,
Yeah.
maybe 3. That's not enough.
Yeah, but I mean, but almost the very thing you said about, wow, it's a real exciting aspect that when you come out with a movie, well, I don't want to be doing this when it becomes a more passé thing. I do like the idea of 10 and done. I do like the idea of not passing over into another period of my career per se due to age and longevity and length. I like the idea that there is an umbilical cord connected to my first film all the way to my last, and then that is the body of work, because I am about my filmography. And frankly, I do feel that a bad film on the filmography affects good films.
But do you feel that about your films? Are you feeling
No, I don't
bad
feel
about
that. No, I don't
because
feel
you're
that
feeling
way.
a good
I'm
umbilical
good.
cord line.
I'm good right now. I want to keep good right now. And I do like the idea of, leaving you wanting a little bit more rather than...
All right, so back to the article here. He also has espoused a philosophy that directors get out of touch as they age. In 2012, he told Playboy, quote, "I want to stop at a certain point. Directors don't get better as they get older. Usually the worst films in their filmography are those last 4 at the end. I am all about my filmography, and one bad film fucks up 3 good ones. I don't want that bad. I don't want that bad out of touch comedy in my filmography. The movie that makes people think, oh man, he still thinks it's 20 years ago. When directors get out of date, it's not pretty," end quote. And I want to circle back to a point that he made right here. Usually the worst films in their filmography are those last 4 at the end. I believe that this is a reference to Alfred Hitchcock himself. Because if you look at Alfred Hitchcock, right, a lot of his movies, they can be a little hit or miss, but everyone universally agrees that his last 4 movies in particular are really bad. And those would be Torn Curtain, Topaz, Frenzy, and Family Plot, right? Even diehard Alfred Hitchcock fans will acknowledge that those 4 movies in particular are really, really bad. So I understand Tarantino's perspective on that. Is like, you've got Alfred Hitchcock, someone who was considered one of the great filmmakers of all time, but man, those last 4 movies are really, really hard to get through. Tarantino is one of Hollywood's most celebrated auteurs, obsessed with film history and throwaway genres that tend to operate on the fringes of the industry, such as spaghetti westerns, blaxploitation, and chopsaki. But his modern and elevated take on those genres has earned him 2 Oscar wins for Best Writing for Pulp Fiction and Django Unchained, 3 Best Directing nominations, and 1 Best Picture nomination. Even though he plans on retiring from filmmaking, he has expressed interest in other creative outlets, noting in interviews that he could direct limited series or plays. In 2021, he published his first novel, a novelization of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He also published what's the title of the book? I could get the title of the book wrong. I think it's called Cinema Speculation. Is the collection of essays that he wrote. But still, guys, it's, finally we get news of Quentin Tarantino's 10th and final movie. And honestly, I really hope that he sticks to his guns in the sense of this is his 10th and final movie, because if he pulls a Kiss, right, where remember when Kiss came out in 1996 and announced that they were going to have a farewell tour? Well, they've been on tour plenty of times since 1996, right? If he truly sticks to his guns and that this is truly going to be his 10th and final movie, then you could make the argument that his filmography would be very special in that regard, given that he didn't overextend himself. But if he comes out, 5-7 years after this and decides, hey, I want to make another movie and I want to go back to making, and I want to go back and make another Western, I think it would cause way more harm than good. But guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. Should Quentin Tarantino stick to his guns with 10 movies and then retire from movies entirely, or should he come back to do movie 11, movie 12, movie 13, so on and so forth? And guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end this right here because I really don't want this to go any longer than it needs to be. If you stuck around this long, thanks so much for doing so. And if you've been following me long enough, you know I'm terrible at editing these videos, so I will just see you guys next time.